A few weeks ago, I attended Celebrating Descent, and yes, I'm wearing the same clothes. If you've seen my just newly released hijab video, it's the same day. I literally am doing it back to back. But a few weeks ago, I attended Celebrating Descent, and I'm going to do a podcast on it with someone really exciting. But there was a question that somebody messaged me after they saw those videos because they felt so passionate and connected to a conference. They weren't in it, but saw all those videos and felt like they were missing out and really wanted somebody to talk to about. And they messaged me asking, how do I have conversations with my family about Islam? Because it always comes with hostility. They never want to listen. We don't have like those table talks, and neither did I growing up. And if there's anything I can say as an older ex-Muslim who has relatively, but actually I feel like I have a good relationship with my family, it is that not all topics need to be discussed. I know some topics are very important to you, and I know you want to bring them about. And sometimes you just have to find the right moment or the right format to have those topics, because how we say things matter, and how we talk to the people we love because they're so close to us and how they respond is so different from the online world or people you don't know or friends, because these are people you've grown up with, and you want to have the same values. You want to agree on maybe that let's say slavery is not okay. And it's really difficult talking about this for people who've never been challenged before, and you have gone on your journey to be an ex-Muslim and challenge yourself and are also unlearning. I think we we forget that they haven't been on that journey. You're literally planting a seed of doubt. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have this conversation. I'm saying that try having them in different ways. Try having discussions that don't exactly hit the right point you're getting to, but maybe you're asking more questions. Maybe you're asking about what they think, and then just really opening their mind as well. And maybe they will disagree with you, and that's okay. And that's okay. And that's fine for you to go like, hey, I don't think this is a right conversation, or I don't think we should be talking about this anymore because it's making me feel uncomfortable, but I hear your point of view. I need to think about it, even if you don't agree with them. I think putting that distance between the two of you, or like, you and your family, can actually be a bit healthier, even for your mental health, because, like I said, when they disagree on something that you feel so passionate about, it's so hard. And it's hard for them because you're disagreeing with something they hold so strongly as well. So maybe like having those boundaries, understanding the other side, even if you don't agree. And I remember having this chat with my dad 4 years ago in Tanzania in 2020, that instant. But I was talking to my dad, and he sat me down really politely, and he's like, I understand that you've left Islam. I understand that your activism is important to you and you're fighting for women's rights, and I see what you're doing. But can you please not talk about Muhammad and Allah and the Quran, essentially saying, don't blaspheme? And I was like, Dad, look, it is still my free speech. I understand it's offensive to you, but people have died because of blasphemy. And I know you don't agree with killing, right? It can offend you and it can anger you, and I know you. But there are also things in the Quran that really upset me, and it could be things like inheritance. It could be things like women are half of a man's worth in testimony, and then the hadith on, the intelligence of women. And I'm like, I have a master's of like, I have all these accomplishments. Do you actually believe that I'm worth half? And he thought about it and he's like, no, I can't say I agree with everything in the Quran, because while I believe in a God and I believe in, the Quran, maybe I haven't read it the way you've read it, and maybe have not understood it the way you've had it. And maybe that conversation with him didn't go anywhere, but to me it was just like, oh, okay. Like you see, we found that middle ground, but we don't completely agree, but we don't disagree. It was just asking the small questions like, have you ever thought about this happen? And then, the Samuel Paty incident happened, the teacher who showed the Muhammad photo in class and was murdered. And, I was speaking to my family about it, and their reaction was, why did he have to provoke them? And I'm like, was he really provoking them? Is provocation, is provocation should provocation lead to murder? Should it really be that? Are Muslims that intolerant? And he's like, and usually, a lot of Muslims have this thing, it's not us, it's them, it's the other Muslims. But just having them listen to that other side was like, no, I don't think he should be killed. He shouldn't have shown it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But he shouldn't be killed. And those are the little things that, we work out to see, okay, we have some values there. We have these conversations that, maybe we'll go further into, maybe we won't. And maybe these conversations are better suited with other friends who are open-minded, or other friends who are willing to be challenged, or heck, go to Reddit and go to the ExMuslim subreddit, or the other the other subreddits where they do challenge each other, but also try a format that asks a bit more questions. Maybe be careful as well. Not every family is tolerant. I was very lucky to have a family, but we had our own ups and downs, and we still do, and we work it out, and we identify what our role is as individuals in the family and what our limitations are. And sometimes I understand that, the language I speak may be harsh to them, or it might be a bit more complicated. But my siblings had never heard the word misogyny because, language, but also had never thought about it, learned the word misogyny. And that was like a step in the right direction. It was just a small step, but it was a step going like, oh, they understand this. So maybe they don't view the world the same way I do. And that's fine. But we were able to align and have those conversations and even just talk about things that we were like, okay, well, this is my point of view. You don't have to agree with it. But, I'm happy to hear yours and just ask the questions why. Why? That young child who's like annoying is like, oh, but why are you doing this? Why is this happening? That's literally me sometimes. And I'm like, but why do you believe that? Or what makes you think this is the right thing? And then sometimes I also have to learn to hold myself back because I get very passionate. I also have to remind myself, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sorry. Let's not talk about this. I feel like we're crossing each other's boundaries because if you had done the same to me, like if you had actually talked to me the way maybe I did, that might have made you feel uncomfortable, I would have felt really bad. So maybe this is the time where we kind of, stop talking about it. But I really hope that some of you are able to take this and have some conversations with your friends and family. When and if you feel safe, please have this disclaimer. And also, please, please, please be careful with who you trust, even other ex-Muslims, etc. Just please be careful. If you're in person, and I've had some of my childhood friends betray me or like really just block me and send me threats and be very abusive to me, and it was hurtful. So maybe my experience won't be like yours, and I hope you have better luck, but please be careful with who you open up to and always be safe. And I hope that we're all finding a bit more patience and resilience in our journey. But also remember, this is our journey, and we have to respect that somebody else's journey might be very different. Maybe they're not wanting to take the same route. Maybe they don't want the same path, and maybe they like believing in God, even if it's, in my opinion, does not make sense, like the belief in a non-existent or non-provable. But just maybe try having, and it's hard, try having a bit more of a reflection on like, how do I stop? Or maybe they don't want to have this conversation with me. I hope this was, again, helpful. But let me know what else you should talk about. I'm not usually very comfortable with the cameras. I'm usually like, we're still looking. So I hope this helps. And do motivate me by subscribing and passing on this video so we can make more. And subscribing also means that you get to hear the podcast that I'm starting, or I have started actually, on the Untethered Mind, where I promise you there's so many more therapists coming, and we're going to dive really deep into some of the trauma that we've all held on from a young age, and really like having this discovery sessions of like, what did you think growing up? And then as a therapist, what have you actually understood about ex-Muslims as well? Some people are not ex-Muslims, but some people are ex-Muslims and therapists. So please subscribe and support your girl.